Welcome back to another episode of the Katz podcast. Oren Glickman, Akiva Poppers, and of course, Coach. A lot to dissect since we last met. Coach, you always talk about teams and sometimes needing to get their face kicked in. And it looks like YU got their face kicked in plenty the last few games. Your thoughts overall? You have the floor.
Oh, excuse me for that. Yeah, I think you need to get your face kicked in, but you also have to have a team that can recover from getting their face kicked in. I don't, I'm not, I'm not sure. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure we have not exhibited. There's no signs that this team can recover from getting their face kicked in. In other words, I'm concerned, like I was last time, about our lack of fight. That as soon as kind of things go sour, it's like a truck downhill without brakes. And 2.5 point leads turn into 25 point leads in a blink of an eye. That's I don't know what to attribute that to. Probably I mean, it's a lack of, at least at this point in the season, it's a lack of toughness. Um, I don't know if it's heart. I don't I'm not sure what it is, but it's got to be fixed right quick. Or this schedule that we put together to challenge them is going to turn out to be a schedule that buries them. And because in the process of being challenged, if you don't have a locker room to handle that, the challenge is going to turn into I don't even know what the word is, a hurricane hit a junkyard. Like your whole locker room can blow up because guys aren't mature enough to handle losing. And I mean, to handle winning, you got to learn how to lose, and I'm not sure we're there yet. Like it's one thing to lose a game by 30. It's another thing to not compete. And I don't think, I mean, I can't think of a game after the first one where they competed. Besides, you know, the two at home, and then the only one that really matters, and this is really the point, is the only one that matters is purchase. The rest of them is window dressing, but purchase is the only thing that makes a difference here. And the fact that we handle purchase is a good thing, but if you don't get in the habit of winning, the purchase thing is just a random win. Do I think this team's good enough to win a league? 100%. Do I think they're going to compete for a championship? 100%. Do I think if in fact they win a league and win a championship, they're going to be able to compete in the NCAA tournament? I mean, they have the talent to. I'm not sure they've shown the desire or ability to. And I'm not usually hard on them, but this is something they kind of need to hear. Like you have to play together, defend together. That right now they can't stop a cold. So, I mean, in all fairness, what they've been doing the last couple games, they've been better defensively, but I think there are still some guys who mail that in. It's probably not fair to say mail it in. Just don't necessarily work as hard as they can. I think guys were taking advantage of us there, and we're playing a league that we can win here. So it's all going to be a matter of how long it's going to take you to get this ship right.
Right. You always talked about in prior seasons about how this team is too young and you can't use that tagline anymore for this season. But at the same time, these players are still learning in terms of how to become leaders. So do you think there's a learning curve in that regard?
No, I think that learning curve should have already been uh, activated. Like you've had 2 years to learn how to lead. There's a couple. I mean, Max. No, no, you're old enough and you're experienced enough, and I would have thought we were tough enough. But if we're still fighting about who gets what shot, and I'm not sure that's the case. I can just tell from them playing that guys are kind of sometimes going off the reservation instead of sharing the ball. Like if you don't share the ball and you're in a Jewish school like this, you just don't have the talent to beat people straight up. As good as we may think we are, and there's a lot of talent here, I'm I'm not I'm not. I mean, you got to share the ball, man. We don't do enough for that. Guys are worried about. Everybody's playing next shot basketball. It's like my shot's the next shot. So everybody's playing my shot basketball. And when you play my shot basketball, you're not usually don't win. At some point in the season, even if you go 14-2, somebody's going to punch you in the mouth, whether it's in your conference playoffs or your tournament or the NCAA first round. If you play my shot basketball, that's a slow death. And nobody wants to play on a team that plays my shot. But they all want to play on a team that throws one more, that throws the extra pass, that passes on good shots for great shots. This team has not shown, even in the wins, that they're willing to pass on good shots for great shots. I mean, there's a play, and I'm going to call him out here because it was, and I love the guy. So, it's hard for me. Well, I won't say the player by name. Let's put it that way. But the ball's being reversed and it's coming around, and we got a wide open shooter in the corner. And this one player pass fakes the corner and pulls a contested three. And I thought, I'm not sure that's not the most selfish play of the year. In a year that has had its fill of selfish plays. That play right there, because the shooter, it turns out we got the offensive rebound, kicked it back to the same shooter who made in the corner, who made the three. But we're moving the ball. That's a quintessential my shot basketball. One more, boom, ball fake shot, contested shot, Rick. Like, you're just selfish, period. Period. I don't care if you're feeling it, nothing. You're not Steph. And even if Steph did it, it's a bad shot. It's a selfish shot. He's wide open in the corner. Throw the one more to the corner. You pass fake the corner and shoot the contested three? Dude, that's just dumb. Like, at the very least, you should have shot fake that and gone bucket. Guy flies right by it. But so selfish.
Listen, when I think about teams, turning good shots into great shots, I think about the Donnie YU squad.
Mm-hmm. They made a living on turning good shots into great shots. But here's the difference. Well, there's plenty of differences. And I think it's crazy that we have to go back 6 years or whatever it is, or 5 years.
But that's fine. That's how you lay a foundation.
Well, and they were the brick and mortar of the whole thing. And what made them great was they had a ton of guys. Maybe the first 7 guys in their rotation could all drop 20 on a given day. And no one cared.
Because they were about the we and not the me.
Exactly. They cared about winning. And if you care about winning, everything else is nonsense. It doesn't matter. Get the win. But if you have to pass fake that ball to the corner only to shoot a contested shot, you stink. As a team, not as a player, but as a team. That means you're working in selfishness. The shot made zero sense. I can't tell you how burned up I was watching it. It was so selfish. And that team didn't care because that team was confident in their own abilities. I remember Gabe Leifer scored 4 points in an NCAA tournament game and couldn't have been happier. It was Friday afternoon. I think he had 4 points. And he was ecstatic because we got to play again and we won. We scored 102 and Ryan had 40 plus. And not a word about what anybody scored that night. It was Shabbat and everybody just enjoyed being together and no one talked about rebounds. What they did talk about when they talked about the game was the kind of job that they did defensively. In particular, shutting down whatever that big kid was. And I thought, I thought Gabe and Donnie did a phenomenal job on that guy. Like from Jump Street, I think Donnie forced him into an offensive foul or something right away, like without elbow or something. It was just they were just smart basketball players who played smart basketball and didn't care. And the guys who did care lost minutes, period. And that's what happened on that team. There were guys who were important parts of the group that cared about things that didn't matter. Like how many points do I have or what's my shot? And they came big minutes in the game, they didn't play.
Right.
And so that I think that again, that's also a locker room that policed itself. Talking to Ryan about this the other day, I remember a game where it's like 22 or 23 in a row. There was a certain player who came out. Somebody had come out the locker room and was talking about the player who was complaining he didn't play enough. Hey, dude, we've won 23 in a row. What are you complaining about? So us. This is about us. And the guy's like, I'm no longer backing this guy anymore. You don't want to do the right things, and don't worry about it. It's not the place for you. So like that team polices itself. I'm not sure if anyone's policing this team from within. And the guys who police themselves and hold themselves accountable, they become great teams.
Right. So let's put W's and L's to the side for a second. What do you want to see in these last two non-conference games against Wesleyan and Tufts?
When's that Wesleyan one? This coming week, right?
Next week,
Wesleyan is Chanukah Monday. And Wesleyan is one of the 7 undefeated teams in the country.
Yeah.
And Tufts, Tufts is top 10. I think Wesleyan is like 16 or something like that.
Okay, just compete. Just compete. Share the ball. Stop being selfish and compete. Just compete. Share the ball. Stop worrying about your points. Stop worrying about your shot. Share the ball. Move the ball. Ball movement plus player movement equals buckets. That is a old adage in basketball that's never changed, even though analytics doesn't like player movement. But if you can reverse the thing a couple times a possession, touch the post, it's almost like in basketball, there's no more positive sign. I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for is. There's no more kind of ironclad, maybe that's not even right, assurance If you do X, Y, and Z, if you reverse the ball multiple times, if you get post touch, if you attack through cuts and pass and occasional dribble, but if you reverse the ball multiple times of possession, you are going to win, period. That's almost not a lock, but it's close to a lock. I don't know teams that have, multiple ball reversals every 3 or 4 possessions and lose. Because you're making the defense do too much. They have to close out, which, of course, as we've talked about, is the hardest thing to do in sports. Any sport, closing out. And you make defenses have to react to your movement.
Right.
Your ball movement, your player movement. I mean, it's a real thing. If you can do that, you can win. I'm sure Coach Poppers can vouch for this. If you can get multiple reversals and post touch and possession, I mean, I know analytics doesn't like post touches. Screw analytics. Because analytics, by the way, has given us this grotesque NBA game that we have right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's all analytics driven. All these coaches are copycat coaches, lazy coaches who just copy, and nobody wants to get fired. So, well, if I do what they're doing, then I'm safe. It's just, did the Celtics take 53s the other night?
Something like that.
That's like nuts, or combined 98 3. Like, that's nuts. There's no creativity. And that's what's happened when you've taken the player movement away from the game. It's just
and also the mentality, right?
What do you mean?
Like what's happening in the NBA, it's trimming down to what the way individuals are thinking.
I mean, it's
maybe not as much at the college level, but maybe at the high school level.
That what?
That the NBA is poisoning a player's mentality.
Of course, because coaches are being taught by the same coaches who teach this. So all you're going to get are cookie cutter coaches, unless you get somebody from Europe or somebody who's coached something outside the box. You're just going to get the same nonsense. Just ball screen, ball screen, ball screen, ball screen, ball screen. Stand in the corner. We'll get it to you when I stop dribbling. I mean, I was watching a game here in Israel the other night. Two big teams here in Israel. And one possession, the dude dribbled it from 19 seconds until there were 5 seconds on the shot clock. And the other guy pulled it with 20 seconds after dribbling it for the first 19. Does anybody like playing that way? I wouldn't be able to stand it. I'd just go swimming or something. Like, this is just stupid. It's just stupid to play that way.
Or play soccer.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, I'd go swimming. But like, who wants to play like that? Who wants to play with a guy like James Harden? I don't get it. There's one possession. I think it was like 40 dribbles in 24 seconds. It's something stupid like that. And then you consider Klay Thompson scores 61 and dribbles 8 times, or 13, whatever it was. Who'd you rather play with? Who'd you rather play with? There's a reason one guy won and one guy's never won. So, if ball movement and player movement equals buckets, but to get ball movement, you have to be unselfish. You have to be, as Elliot likes to say, selfless. That's fact, and we are not. So the next 2 games, you got to me, they're basically irrelevant. They're just a test of your mental fortitude and your mental toughness.
Yeah.
Like, you're playing teams that want to come in here and knock your block off.
Right, because they want to do what NYU did, and they want to do what Trinity did.
Are you going to lay down? Or are you going to fight back and compete? Are you going to bitch and moan that you're not getting your shots? Or are you going to compete? Are you going to guard? are you gonna bitch and moan? You gotta compete, man. Bottom line, I'm not sure we have enough guys who want to compete. And
Right.
so that's really what it boils down to. And part of competition and part of competing is doing things the way they're supposed to be done. Not doing things your way, doing things our way. And if our way doesn't work for you, maybe our way is something you should not participate in.
Right. Buying into our stuff.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. I would much rather coach a team that has a buy-in and is not as talented than a team that is talented with no buy-in. Because you're gonna fight with them bastards the whole year. The whole year. So you gotta compete, you gotta show some mental toughness, and you gotta share the ball and play to the best of your ability. And of course you gotta get stubs. So
You said before we went on the air how harsh you were going to be, but I've seen you be a lot worse. So
oh well, I'm trying to be nice.
yeah.
I'm trying to be nice, but we deserve every criticism we get. And the reason is because we've earned that. Just like we've earned the good things, we've earned the lousy things. And there are no more excuses. You're not too young. Right now, you're too selfish and you don't compete. But all that being said, let me be really clear. The only issue is you're 1-0.
Right.
That's all you need to concern yourself with. You're 1-0, and that's all that matters. Can you win the league? Yes. Is there a high probability? There should be. If you don't compete, though, somebody's going to punch you right in the mouth and you're not going to be ready. And it's going to come at an inopportune time. And when that happens, you have nobody to blame but yourselves because you've been forewarned. So that's my take on that.
Yeah. We'll see what happens next week, Monday night, Pop.
Yeah, the December 30th, Monday night.
Got it. All right. Everyone mark your calendars. Chanukah is obviously coming up,
Yeah.
and you'll be spending it in Eretz HaKodesh.
Yes, sir.
Would love to get your perspective. Is this your first time spending the festival
Yeah.
in Israel?
First time here. First time here. First time here. It's interesting. In America, December 24th and December 25th are there's a certain atmosphere.
Little Nach.
Yeah, certain atmosphere. And I'm not kind of not sure we're not a little back to that spot where Jews walking in the street can get beat up simply because they're Jews on a day like today. But here you live a Jewish life. So the only thing that's talked about is Hanukkah. Because it happened here. Which is the great irony of all these congressmen who complain that Israel was a colonialist apartheid state who stole land from the actual owners are going to all wish the Jews a happy Hanukkah.
Right.
The irony of that is so rich, you can't even explain it. Because it's so ignorant and stupid. Keep the Hanukkah and shove it up your ass. Your Hanukkah wishes. Grab a history book. What does Hanukkah celebrate? Where did that take place? On what land was it? Who were the people who were running the country? Why were they running the country? Who revolted against them? Why did they revolt? And where did that take place? I don't know. Somebody tell this dickhead Pope. I said it. The Pope sucks. I mean, if the Catholics are mad at me, I don't really give a crap. Pope sucks. A Pope is like the previous hopes for them, not all of them, but most of them, just your regular standard run-of-the-mill Jew hater. You can dress it up. It's like, I remember, and obviously it became famous with Sarah Palin, but when I was coaching at UMBC, we went to Campbell University and they had a great, funny coach named Billy Lee. And I was just talking to him pregame about his gym and they painted it and all that. And he said, you can put a bow tie on a pig, it's still a pig. Well, you can put a papal hat on a pig, he's still a pig.
Right.
Yeah,
Also,
that's
saying like if a
right.
crack
Yeah,
is
there's no like, with all due respect to the Holy See, yo, bite me, dickhead. You know what I mean? Like you can't have it both ways. You can't say we're colonialists and then wish us happy Hanukkah about which commemorates something that happened in this very land, in this very neighborhood that I live in, thousands of years ago. You can't have it both ways. So all those ignoramuses on TikTok and on social media who want to tell you about how we took somebody's land, shut up, grab a history book, idiot. Like just don't wish any of your friends happy Hanukkah. Because you're going to have to come to terms with the fact that that event happened here, not in Palestine, in Israel, in Judea, where the Jews come from, Judah. And so the best part of being here is you just live a Jewish life. If you're a Jew, you live a Jewish life. It's safe here to be a Jew. You don't have to worry about, somebody who surrounds you and not let you go to class. You don't have to worry about some professor failing you because you support the IDF. You don't have to worry about, where my kid's going to go to college. It's a different world here. There's a different calendar. When I go to work every day, there's a big sign over an overpass, and it flashes different advertisements. It's big. It's like, what would it be? Like, I don't know, 40 by 100, 120. One of these big electric, bulletin board type things. And it says Chanukah B'Ramat Gan, 25/12/24 to 1/25. And you just kind of like, yeah, that's what's up. You know what I mean? Like that's where we live. And
it's the premier holiday over there.
Yeah, I listened to a podcast yesterday, and somebody said if you put yourself in a time machine and you went back and talked to Maimonides or Nachmanides or Rashi, and you told them, yes, I live in Israel. There's 7+ million of us there. And we have a Jewish government. It is our land. We live on it. We grow on it. We keep the laws of Truma and Shemitah. We keep all the agricultural laws. The shekel is the currency of the country. They would ask, and how is the temple in Jerusalem? Because obviously the Messiah had come. That is what their view would be. So we're living in ridiculous times right now. Like a month ago, the last time we did a podcast, Assad was still running Syria. Lebanon was getting pounded by the IDF because they were stupid. And now the monarchy in Jordan is teetering. Syria's all but totally changed. Lebanon, Gaza, and who's got the big stick now in the neighborhood? different a year makes. But in our case, how different a month makes. So I'm excited to be here for Hanukkah because I want to, here they light in the street, they light outside in your door in the courtyard, or your windows, but it's not a sometime thing here. It's an all-time thing here. Everybody does it. Everybody understands what this is about. Does everybody understand that's, the Maccabees weren't just taking out non-Jews. They're also taking out Jews. That I'm not so sure. But what they do understand is that it happened here. And say whatever you want, but this is where this event took place. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it very much. And I have no kids who live here, so screw their presents.
Well, so, you have one.
Yeah, I took care of him already and my grandchildren. No, the truth is, obviously, we send our children something for Hanukkah, but it's just kind of wild. Like I get to do it here. It's an incredible blessing, which I do not take for granted. And I may have 25 years ago, but I don't anymore.
Yeah,
it's just awesome to be here. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it.
And it obviously goes without saying that we wish all of our viewers happy holiday. Any holiday that they may observe.
Happy holiday, exactly.
Yeah. Pivoting over to, we really haven't discussed in depth your coaching experience over there.
Good. I want to talk about that.
Yeah, we want the viewers to know about how it's been going. What's the typical schedule like? What are your projections in terms of what these guys are going to go on to do after they're done with their experience training with you?
Well, we got off to a rocky start because we had a lot of injuries. One player still not been cleared to get back. He had 2 surgeries on his legs before he got here. So we're waiting on him. Then we had another one with a high ankle sprain. So he was out for about a month. Another one had a shoulder. So we were really practicing with like 5, maybe 6 guys, if that, until 2 of our players from Australia came. Then we can find, like, about a month ago, maybe 5 weeks. So we were able to put 5-on-5 on the floor at some point. And I believe the first time we put 5-on-5 on the floor was the day before our first scrimmage. So there's only breakdown work. There's only so much breakdown you can do. You have to put the whole together. And we just we've had a hard time. Those aren't excuses. Those are just facts. Now that we've been able to do it, I think we've turned the corner a little bit. A typical day, we'll practice at 10, go till 12:30. Now, then they have a break for lunch. Now we have high-tech internships that they're doing, some in the sports industry, some not. So they'll have that. Not every afternoon, but 3 times a week, I think. One of the days of the week we'll volunteer someplace, or and then another day they'll have a teal. We've we'll tour the country. I think next week the team is going to Yad Vashem, which is the Holocaust Memorial. That's a heavy day. They've been to the South. That was a heavy day. And you don't usually get a lot out of practice if you do it that day. So go to those trips and then go home and process. Next week will be difficult. That trip's a difficult trip, but I think every Jew who comes here should go to Yad Vashem at least once.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then In the evening, the gym's available. Guys usually get in there, get shots up. And it's kind of like college. You have the freedom at night to do what you want to do.
Right.
We just have to know where you are. And of course, if God forbid any sirens go off, we just have to check in. So that's your basically typical day. Obviously schedule changes. We'll have film work. And I'd say at least half of them have a chance to play on the next level. Quite a few of them have a chance to play here for quite a bit, quite a long time. It's just, you got to prove it's professional basketball, semi-professional basketball. I mean, you got to prove yourself every night. I don't care where you play. I don't care if you play in the worst league in the world or the best league in the world. Every single night, you got to prove yourself. And if you're coming from another country, you damn sure have to prove yourself. Because there's a part they don't care what you did in America. You got to do it here. And by the way, it's the same. Most teams run the same cookie cutter stuff. So you're going to see ball screen. You're going to see stand in the corner, over dribble. But, we play with a 24-second shot clock that gets reset at 14, like the NBA or FIBA. Not like college, where I think it's 30-20, right, Pop? So those extra 6 seconds on both ends are legitimate, and they make a big difference. So our guys are learning how to play that way, and we have transitioned into something different that I don't want to talk about just yet, but we'll talk about soon. And but I think we have guys who have a chance to play for a very long time. What you do with those, you gotta keep your act together. You can't just go nuts. Referees are going to be referees. I enjoy the job. I like coaching these guys. These guys are great guys. We've been lucky. We had Zoom this week with Coach David Blatt, which was enjoyable for me because I've known him for about 25 years, I would say.
Right. I think we've talked about having him on the show at some point.
Yeah. I mean, if we can, I can try to reach out and see if he wants to do it. We also had Dan Grunfeld, who played at Stanford and played in Israel here, and then actually, I think when Coach Pro was on, he talked about Dan leading his Maccabi team to the gold medal in overtime over Israel. And he's a hell of a player. So we had him yesterday. I think Howie Roseman from the Philadelphia Eagles is coming on Thursday. We've had Coach Shire from Duke. We've had Phil Martelli. I think he was in Michigan, but from St. Joe's. Mark Gottfried, who worked at ESPN, coached NC. So our guys have been exposed to a lot of coaches, and a lot of coaches, I would say a nice group of coaches who coach in our division and other divisions have come to watch some of our guys play, which is great for them. So the exposure that they're getting is a net positive just from exposure. But the experience that they're getting from being here and living a Jewish life, what I mean by Jewish life is they just wake up every day and, it's the 24th day of the month of Kislev. It's not Tuesday, it's Yom Shlishi. It's not December, it's Kislev. We obviously work on a solar calendar, but for the most part in this country, Christmas isn't really a thing. I mean, you see a tree, in certain places in Jerusalem just because the church is there. But for the most part, it's all Hanukkah everywhere. So it's like a Jewish life. Like when Sukkot was here, it was a sukkah everywhere. Lulavim everywhere. People don't look at you strange when you pray on the train. wearing whatever you wear to pray. People don't look at you strange when you pray in the street. And you'll find a minyan in the middle of the mall. And it's just how it is here. It's a Jewish life. So our guys are getting to experience part of that. And I'm pretty sure most of them are happy, if not all of them. And they're enjoying their experience here. And we've gotten better now, and we'll be okay. We're good. Ask me the same question in 2 months.
Do you guys have an idea yet on next year's class, or that's?
No, I really don't. But that's, I'm pretty much concerned with the team I have.
Right. Recruiting works a little. It's not
Yeah.
like a typical seminary yeshiva type recruiting.
No, and we have a lot of interest. I just don't know where we're at with that. You know what I mean? So look, I think some kids get bad advice. I'm not talking about our program. I'm talking about college. Like, I remember going to my son played in a championship game for his league at UMBC, Maryland, Baltimore County, where I used to coach, actually. And my athletic director, who also was a professor in one of my classes, his name was actually Charles Brown. He saw me, and he'd already retired, but he asked me what I was doing there, and I said, I have a son who's playing in a game in a couple minutes. He's like, oh, I look forward to watching him. And he said, can he play a little bit? I said, you can play a little bit, being recruited by quite a few people. He's like, here's my advice. He said, you remember my daughter, Julie, actually Julie Brown? And I said, I do. He said, she got a full ride to Delaware to play volleyball and was miserable because she never played. For whatever reason, she was a freshman. She transferred to Salisbury, it's a Division III school, and she was a first-team All-American and had the time of her life. And he's like, I tell you that story to tell your son to go where you're going to play. If you're not going to play, don't go to that school. Unless, of course, you want an education, whatever. But if basketball is what you're interested in, go to a place where you're going to play. And I see kids going to colleges. I mean, if you're happy getting 5 minutes in blowouts, then so be it. But you cannot tell me, as a Jew now, on a non-Jewish campus, that your college experience is extraordinary. It makes no sense to me. I don't get it. I mean, I do get it, but it makes no sense to me why kids would do that right now. Why would you do that to yourself? I mean, imagine you're a kid, you're at Columbia, and you're trying to go to classes and people won't let you cross the lawn just because you're a Jew. How's that working out for you? So when I see that kids are going to colleges that are all, to play ball where they're not going to play a lot, it makes zero sense. I know Pop knows what I'm talking about, but you're just not going to play at that school. Come play at yeshiva. Because God knows there's a lot of jobs available at yeshiva right now. If you're tough, if you have mental toughness and you win and you put the we in front of the me and you play hard and never take possessions off, there's a place for you.
that's probably your parting message for the end of every Maccabi Israel experience gap year.
Yes and no. Some kids don't belong in a place like yeshiva. You still want a kid to be in a situation where he can succeed. You coming from a Jew school and you're going, no, that don't make no kind of sense. You got bad advice. Or the coach sold you a bag of goods that he's lying to you about. That's just 9 times out of 10, those kids don't play. To think of at least 4 or 5 right off the top of my head that just don't play. Was that worth it for you? Yeah, they'll tell you, yeah, it was great. I had a great experience. Dude, you never played. All you wanted to do was play ball. You could play ball and get an education. So, no, I'm really happy about it. I think our guys are happy to be in it, and we're growing together. It's pretty cool, and we're doing it here. What's better than that?
Yeah. Last thing to talk about before we sign off, Coach Poppers, 5-2. Are you proud of the guy?
JV Coach of the Year? Are you kidding me? Or co-coach of the year, whatever nonsense.
Just like you take the credit in addition to me with the shot clock. Are you taking credit for Ramaz's 5-2 success right now?
No, I'm gonna let Pop take credit for that.
Ah.
Because well, you were easy, Warren. I've been bitching about the shot clock in the Yeshiva League for what? 3 years now?
For as long as I've known you.
Yeah. So
I've known you now for what, 10 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Donnie graduated in 2014, so yeah, it's been 10 years.
Yeah. But I've been bitching about the shot clock since then.
Yeah.
Or before that, but so that that's my parting gift to the Yeshiva League. So the old timers can get mad at me. Because
but you're letting Coach Poppers take celebrate on his own.
Yeah, no, I'm not there every day. I'm also letting him take. I mean, here's a question, Pop. In those 5 games, how many were you supposed to win? 5?
Probably 5 or 6.
Okay. In the 2 that you lost, how many were you supposed to win?
1 or 2. No, 0 or 1. My bad. 0 or 1. We lost one of them by 1 point. We lost the other by 6 points.
Okay. The ones, all those wins, you may as well forget about because the only ones that are going to bother you, the ones that are going to stay with you are the losses.
Oh yeah. There's one which
that's just that's just coaching.
There's one that's still.
And if it don't stay with you, you're in the wrong business.
Yeah.
So, no, let him. He deserves all the credit. He's doing all the work. I'm proud of him. I think he's doing it the right way. A little too anal for me, but that's but you don't necessarily have to set the screen at the 32.65 degree angle.
Coach, I got a little tidbit for you. First of all, we don't do whatever you're talking about right now, but that's all right. Okay. The entire year we have 0 moving screens in 12 combined games.
I would suggest you're not screening enough, Bob.
You could suggest that, and you'd probably be right.
I did suggest.
I'd be right, but we screen more than most teams that we play.
Okay, well, being that none of them screen,
I'm including ball screens, by the way, that we have no moving ball screens either. The few that we've set.
Okay, well, your patience is admirable, but my guess would be you don't screen enough. Because most teams don't screen enough. But the question is, people forget, they all think it's screen. It is screening. But there are cuts to the basket everywhere in this offense. Tell me how many are you getting buckets off your cuts without dribbles? And if the answer to that question is yes, then you're on your way.
We get more in practice than we get in games, but it's
okay. And therein, of course, as they say, lies the rub.
Of course.
Like you're going to get him in practice, which means your team can't defend right now. You know
Well,
they're coming. Listen, you
yeah.
know they're coming, and you're still giving them up. So it's one of two reasons: one, because you get great execution, and two, because your team doesn't guard. I would suggest, based on the fact that you're not getting him in games, that you're getting him more because your team doesn't guard.
Well, I wouldn't say that just based on the facts.
You didn't say that. I said that.
Okay. The bigger issue that we have is that most of the teams that we play against play zone, so we get
Mhm.
so man reps in actual games that most of the time when we actually get to a game against man, the bad habits start kicking back in. That's been our bigger issue. Now the good news is we come out of break January 9th. We get a team that plays mostly man, and then we get a team that plays a decent amount of man. So it's just I mean for right now our zone offense is better than our man offense, but it's just opportunities for us to get more reps,
Can you
with the
still screen the
regular deal.
zone though?
What's that?
Can you still screen the zone?
Oh yeah, yeah, we could. Yeah.
So,
But yeah,
uh,
our defense is actually in a good spot right now.
or see how he's accountable for all these things. That's why he gets the credit.
Mhm.
Because I'm not at practice every day. I could just diagnose based on what the information he's giving me, my best.
Which you got to watch a game. You got to watch a game, and then you can diagnose.
No, Pop, I don't.
Nah, you need more than just the box score. What was the rebounds +6 or -6? Like what's
Don't laugh.
the
Don't laugh. That rule pretty much is that's a solid rule, Pop.
It's a good rule. Yeah.
Combined with other things, it's a great rule. It's like that. It doesn't always happen, but it's above 85%, if not 90. By
Yeah.
rule, like if you're turning the ball over more than you're assisting on it, and you're getting out rebounded by 6+, unless you shoot ridiculous from three or the floor in general, and you're getting beat, dude.
Yeah. Now,
That's like a rule.
interesting stat from our TABC game. We won with 13 field goals.
How many free throws?
We got to the line 8 times, plus an and one. So we had 17 free throw attempts.
How many did you make?
9.
I'm definitely not taking credit for this. So you had 35 points.
We had 41 points.
You made 6 threes.
6 threes. 6 for 16 from 3. 7 for 20 from 2.
You made 40. You had 41 points, Pop.
And still,
What?
and with because we're
Because there's no
defending.
shot clock.
Well, there's no shot clock, yeah, but it's because we're defending. Yeah. They were
And
in the game.
what
They were
other team scored?
38. I think in the game they were 51 possessions.
Okay.
So it's a pretty short game.
51 of 32-minute games, not a lot. It's like the Jets and the Rams.
And I did
Yeah,
the
it
clock.
was it was a slow game
You did the clock.
or into the clock. Yeah. Yeah, TABC operates very slowly.
No.
And we were we were in the lead, so like we were happy with that tempo, you know?
I mean, how many assists on them 13 buckets, Pop?
10. And
Okay.
then 2 of the remaining 3 were in transition. So
All right.
yeah. So we were assisting. I was making a funny point on your assist things because we had more turnovers and assists, but that's because of how many times we got fouled.
Did you get a rebound?
I don't have the rebound stats for TABC. From what I can guess,
Close. Close.
I think they had like 3 more than we did.
Okay. So you're within the margin of error, so to speak. So
You writing this down?
Am I?
Yeah.
No, I'm playing with a shekel.
Oh.
That's how much you've interested me in your JV statistics. Um, no, but how many turnovers you have?
We finished with 17, but 6 of those were dead ball. So we had
Okay.
11 total, and 3 of them were right after
Right.
offensive rebounds.
11 live ball turnovers.
11 live ball, 2 of which were immediately after offensive rebounds, which were live ball. So we had a lot of turnovers, and it's an issue that we have to work through. But 3 of those were in the final 2 minutes of the game.
No, that's not good, especially a 3-point game.
Yeah,
So
well, we got stops.
so here's the rule. How many free throws did they make?
They
How many-
shot 8 for 8. They went 8 for 10 from the line.
Right. So here's the thing, Pop. Here's
You
the
wanna
other
make
stat. This is
you wanna make more
almost
than your opponent
no,
attempt.
no. I want to see. I'm done. I have nausea talking about it. So here's the other stat. As a rule, usually, if you make more free throws than your opponent shoot,
That's what I just said. Yeah.
no, because you were 9 for 17.
I know, but I'm saying we didn't, but that's what I just said. But yeah, we were 9 for 17, they were 8 for 10.
So what is it you just said?
So we didn't make more than they shot.
Oh, that's correct. As a
Right.
rule, if you make more than your opponent shoot, it's well over 90%. No, nowadays with the 3, I'd say it's somewhere around
Well, the good
90%.
news is, they didn't make more than we attempted either, so
Well, duh.
I'm saying yeah.
I mean, but you're getting to the line, so it just means that Orange guys have no discipline. And it seems that they take a cue from their fan base. And Orange, is this
Oh,
for
that's
you?
gonna wrap it up for this episode.
Yeah, right. Is this for you a game where you had to kick your fans out?
No,
You had a
because
COVID game. You had a COVID game in a
no,
non-COVID.
they didn't participate in the Frisch varsity home game 3 days prior.
Gotta love that.
I'm glad we did it.
Well, I'm saying that it would be nice if there was. I mean, I don't know. Was that at your behest or
I didn't enforce it, but I requested it.
is there a reason the rabbinate didn't request it?
Is there what?
A reason that
Uh,
the rabbinate didn't request it from you based on
uh
their behavior.
I can't.
And
I don't.
this, of course, is my biggest complaint about Jewish institutions in New York. That the rabbis who sit there at games allow this to happen and there are no consequences for that behavior. So I'm glad that the athletic director was more attuned to the midos of his student body than the rabbinate at the very same school. And I'm also a little embarrassed that the athletic director was more on top of it than the rabbinate. I've said this before. I've said this to the rabbis at TABC, actually. Like, what are you teaching your kids here? It's one thing to cheer for your team, but to do all the business that they do right there, that I ain't feeling that. So with that, I'm just saying, like it should not come from the athletic director. That's all I'm saying. And had I been on the faculty of your school and not been in athletics, I'd have made sure.
Well, yeah, I don't think athletic directors are really responsible for fan conduct. I think that's more, you know,
No, but if
I think
I'm
athletic directors are responsible for student athletes.
no, I get that, but if I'm walking around and I'm, you know, talking about, you know, Jewish law, Gemara, Mishnah, Chumash, is supposed to make you a better person. That's the whole point of it. And if it doesn't make you a better person, then whose fault is that? The gym teachers? This goes for all, it's not just TABC, obviously. It goes for all these schools who behave like knuckleheads.
Right. It's a culture within our communities.
Well, it's an embarrassing culture. It's not one I would be proud of. Well, I'm actually not proud of. And I'm not part of the community. I'm not proud of it. Like, dude, just you want to cheer your team and go nuts, no problem. You want to piss all over an opponent or scream airball and all that, get out. And there's a way to do things, there's a way not to do things. Well, it's just airball, it's just fun. Dude, there's a Jewish law involved in that. If it's not a big deal to the rabbinate, okay, so be it. They can explain why that mitzvah is not important. I'm not embarrassing someone in public.
Mhm.
So those are my 2 cents on that subject matter. And it goes for any school. It's not just TABC, it's anybody.
Right. Correct.
So
Well, we've hit the 11 o'clock mark, coach's time. So that'll wrap it up for season 3, episode 3. Wishing a Chanukah Sameach to all our viewers. This is most likely our last episode of 2024. So we'll see everyone in 2025.
Maybe unless we slip another one in here somewhere.
Right. Don't close the door on anything. Everyone be safe. Have a great holiday. And thanks so much for tuning in as always.
Chanukah Sameach.